has a front line, but in this sacred curriculum, the front line isn't where you think. It's not in the trench. It's not on a map. It's not even in a courtroom. It's in the earth itself, beneath the cities, beneath the politics, beneath the rubble. There is something deeper, something ancient. This isn't about land ownership. It's about energy control. And the ones pulling the strings don't care about borders. They care about grid lines, about gateways and the vibrational circuitry of the planet. Earth is not just ground. She is alive. She is grid. Earth is a living being, a conscious intelligence, not metaphorically, but literally. She has power centers, or what is known as chakras. She has meridians, or ley lines, and pressure points or vortexes, just like we do. And just like how the human body can be manipulated by acupuncture, by trauma, or by energy work, Earth's body can be manipulated as well. And whosoever controls her energetic nervous system controls how the flow of consciousness is on the planet. But before we speak of grids and gateways, let's go deeper. Not into the crust of the earth, but the crust of the mind. Because what flows through the planet's body also flows through ours. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir beneath our waking mind, where the ancient symbols, fears, myths, and longings of the human race still swim like living beings in the dark ocean of memory. We think we're thinking individually, but most of what we think is inherent. Across cultures, across continents, people who never met spoke of sky gods. They spoke of serpents, of sacred trees, mother goddesses, of divine floods and heavenly wars. How come? Because the human psyche is not a private chamber. It is a sacred echo chamber, and that echo shapes civilizations. The ancients knew this, and so do the hidden architects of today's world. They don't just fight for land. They don't just fight for oil. They fight for the collective narrative, the images that implant into the subconscious, the fears that become normal, the desires that become law. Because when you control the symbol, you control the psyche. And when you control the psyche, you control the civilization. This is not philosophy, it's frequency. Because everything in the psyche, every idea, every fear, every dream, all emits a vibrational signature. And this is why archetypes matter. The hero, the mother, the enemy, the shadow, the redeemer. These aren't just literary devices. They are psychic software, programs running beneath our awareness, shaping how we respond to life, who we trust, who we fear, what we fear, and how we interpret what we see. And just like you can hack a computer, you can hack an archetype. Today's media doesn't invent new stories. It reskins the old ones. It weaponizes mythology. It turns the hero into the soldier, the mother into the martyr, the shadow into the outsider, and it makes you choose a side before you even knew you had an option. This is the war before the war, the invasion of the image, the occupation of your imagination. Because once you believe a certain pattern, you'll begin to attract it, defend it, and reproduce it without ever knowing it was planted there. This is how consciousness is colonized. And that's why the real war is not just over land, but over meaning. Not just over culture, but over frequency. Because frequency governs feelings. Feeling governs thought. And thought governs action. And the earth as a living being has her own nervous system, her own grid, her own meridians. And the moment we tune ourselves to her, we begin to wake up from the spell. That's why they fight so hard to keep us out of tune. Now let's talk about ley lines and the war for frequency. Ley lines are energetic highways, rivers of subtle power that weave across the earth. The ancients already knew where they intersected. Many markers or monuments were placed in such locations, like the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, Stonehenge in England. In Peru, there is Machu Picchu, Teotihuacan in Mexico. In Cambodia, there is Angkor Wat, Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem. These sites were not just random. They were deliberate activations built on points of transmission and reception. Many modern war zones sit on these lines. Jerusalem is Earth's heart chakra. Ukraine, a high-frequency node located in the Eurasian grid. Iraq, previously known as Ancient Summer, is identified as where the gods descended. Afghanistan is a doorway between east and west and home to massive crystal beds and energetic convergent points. The powers that be aren't just fighting over oil or borders. They're fighting over nodes. Because the being who controls the node controls the frequency of the field. And frequency, beloved, is everything. This is not just a war for land. It is the frequency for war. A battle to determine what vibration becomes dominant in the collective field. Every emotion has a frequency. Every thought a resonance. Every trauma a distortion. And the grid responds to the dominant signal. If you saturate a region with fear, you create an energetic terrain that invites oppression, invites surveillance and violence. If you feed a people shame, you disable their inner compass and make them programmable. If you override their sense of meaning, you collapse their immunity to false narratives. This is how mass mind control works, not just through information, but through vibration. It's no accident that music was weaponized, that news is constantly tuned to panic, that religion tuned people to guilt, that algorithms addict us to comparison and urgency. It's not the content, it's the frequency embedded in the content. And that frequency becomes fleshed through our choices, through our behaviors, our modes, and our systems. So when we say, he who controls the node controls the field, we are saying, he who sets the frequency shapes the reality. Some lands are modern sacred. Some lands are portals, vibrational doorways, interdimensional intersections, places where the veil is thin, where access to other realms is easier. In ancient times, these locations were guarded by priests. Now, they are restricted space surrounded by tanks. Iraq, for example, is more than just a desert. It's home to the ancient city of Ur, where it said that the Anunnaki first descended. There are rumors, whispers in military and esoteric circles that a working Stargate was found there. That's why the 2003 invasion was so urgent. Remember the movie Stargate? Maybe it wasn't just science fiction. Maybe it was a soft disclosure, revealing that ancient portals are real, buried beneath sand and secrecy. Not just relics of a forgotten civilization, but technologies of consciousness, doorways between worlds. What if Iraq, the ancient land of summer, held more than oil beneath the soil? What if the war isn't for territory, but for access? Access to wormholes, access to artifacts, access to the gates. Because when you control the gates, you don't just control geography, you control timelines. Truth? Myth? Misdirection? Maybe. But ask yourself, why do the bombs always fall where the ancients once built temples to the stars? Think of the pattern. The Holy Land has been in conflict for thousands of years. Indigenous territories across the Americas have been stripped, desecrated, and poisoned. African nations rich in earth minerals and metaphysical wisdom are perpetually destabilized. Why? Because when you desecrate sacred land, you create mass trauma on energy lines. You disrupt the planetary field. And when you control the field, you control the collective consciousness. This is geological sorcery, a strategic effort to scramble the frequency of Earth and keep humanity asleep. Here's what most don't notice. Many of the largest military bases on Earth are located near vortex points or ancient sacred sites. Is this coincidence? Or are these sites being guarded, studied, or even suppressed? You see, not all warfare is about winning a battle. Some is about blocking a signal, keeping the ley lines dormant, preventing reactivation, avoiding planetary awakening. Because if the grid reactivates, if the portals align, if the frequencies rise, the matrix falls. So what can we do? We can become grid keepers. You don't need to be standing in Peru or Jerusalem to activate the grid. The Earth's body is reflected in yours. So start here. 1. Walk barefoot often. The sole of your foot is a conductive map of your inner body. And when it meets the soil, the nervous systems recalibrate. You discharge distortion. You absorb coherence. In esoteric traditions, this is earthing, but in ancient mystery schools, it was remembrance. The body recognizing the mother and synchronizing with her electrical field. It carries frequency. 2. Speak healing to the soil. Song codes matter. Words are packets of energy. When you speak healing into the earth, you are participating in an ancient exchange. Consciousness programming matter. Indigenous cultures understood this. Hebrew mysticism understood this. Physics now confirm it. Vibration reorganizes form. You become a tuning fork, altering the density around you. 3. Prayer dawn. Dawn is not just a time of day. It is a window. The veil is thin. The solar field is rising and the human biofield naturally opens in response. This is why mystics and monks, yogis and prophets rose before the sun. You align your intentions with the ascending rhythm of light. You step into coherence with the first portal, the sun, being the daily symbol of resurrection and ignition. 4. Forgive. Forgiveness isn't emotional, it is energetic housekeeping. Every grudge, resentment, or wound becomes a block node, a kink in your internal grid. When you forgive, you release stagnation from the subtle body. Nadis, meridians, and neural pathways unclench. You reconnect circuits within yourself, which strengthens the planetary grid because the earth mirrors you. 5. Raise your frequency. Your field is a transmitter. When you elevate your emotional, spiritual, and mental state, you emit a higher resonance. That resonance interacts with the Earth's magnetic grid, the Schumann field, and creates openings for others to rise. Ancient cultures call this holding the pillar. Modern language calls it coherence. But the simple truth is, when you rise, the Earth remembers her original song because you are part of her memory. The land doesn't need your pity, it needs your presence. She's alive, she's listening, and she's waiting for her children to return, not as owners, but as stewards. This is not about territory, this is about template. The land is coded, the lines are sacred, the war is energetic, and until we stop seeing dirt as property instead of memory, we will keep repeating the same karmic loop. This is the hidden war, and the grid is calling. This is the secret curriculum. Lesson 2.